My name is Isabelle, and I turned 17 the day my dad sold my laptop without telling me. Not broke. Not borrowed. Sold. I was walking home from school when the message popped up. Sold your laptop. Your sister needed a new phone. Be grateful, Dad. I stared at it for a full minute, blinking, reading, hoping it was some twisted joke. It wasn't, because when I got home my laptop was gone. The desk in my room looked oddly naked, like it had never been there at all. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just stood there. That laptop wasn't just a machine to me. It was everything. My college applications, my writing portfolio, my tiny little freelance jobs that helped me buy things without begging. But more than anything, it was mine. Bought with my own saved-up money. My babysitting, my tutoring, my summer library job where I sorted dusty books while my sister, Piper, went to volleyball camp. And now it was gone. Replaced by a passive-aggressive text and a smug smile on Piper's face as she unboxed her shiny new phone at the dinner table. Mom didn't say a word about it. She passed the potatoes like we weren't sitting in the middle of a betrayal. "Happy birthday, sweetie," she said like a robot. Dad chewed slowly, eyes on the TV behind me, as if he hadn't just made the most violating choice of my life. I didn't touch the cake. Later that night, Piper came into my room holding her new phone like a trophy. "Don't be mad," she said. "It's just a laptop. You're always on it anyway." I didn't answer. Not with words. But in that moment something shifted in me. Like the floor of our house tilted a few degrees off-center. They weren't going to stop. Not unless I stopped being quiet. That night I went out to the garage. In the corner was a stack of old boxes, barely touched since we moved here. Inside one was an old composition notebook from middle school. The one I used to call my escape plan. Inside were names, ideas, secrets, and something else. A folded piece of paper I hadn't looked at in years. My mom's handwriting. A name I didn't recognize. And a date. Something told me this wasn't just about a laptop. Something told me this family wasn't what I thought it was. I slid the paper into my hoodie pocket. And I made myself a quiet little promise right there in the garage. This time I'm writing my story. Not living in someone else's. I know this might sound crazy. Over the top. Dramatic maybe. But if you've ever been the afterthought in your own family, if you've ever had your voice smothered by someone else's needs, you get it. You feel it in your bones. So before we go deeper, before I show you how far this really went, tell me in the comments, have you ever been expected to give up something just because someone else needed it more? Only the grown folks who feel this kind of betrayal deep in their chest should hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't just one story. It's the first crack in a wall that was hiding something darker than I ever imagined. The next morning, I stared at the note again like it might vanish if I blinked too hard. Rachel K., Stanford. January 17, 2007. Red line facility, closed. That was all it said. No explanation. No context. Just a name, a date, and a place. Redline. I had never heard of it. Not in school. Not in town. Not even in those weird stories people whisper in grocery store lines. I didn't know what scared me more. The fact that the handwriting was my mom's. Or that it was tucked away in a notebook I hadn't opened in years. Like she wanted me to find it. Someday. I didn't go to school that day. I pretended to have a fever. My mom barely looked up from her emails as she waved me off. Fine. Just stay in your room. I wasn't planning to. My phone was old and slow, but it still worked. I started Googling, Rachel K., Stanford. First nothing. Then something small. An old blog post, archived and nearly erased. Whistleblower Rachel Stanford alleges experimental mistreatment at closed facility in northern state. Disappears days later. Authorities deny involvement. That's all it said. No photos. No details. But my stomach dropped. Because the year. 2007. That was the year I was born. And suddenly, one word echoed in my head like a bell underwater. Whistleblower. Why would my mom have that name hidden in my childhood stuff? And why was it beside my birth date? I spent the next few hours buried in internet rabbit holes. Most links were dead. But one took me to a forum, obscure and barely moderated. People were talking about something called the Red Line Project. Experiments, selective adoptions, high-performance child placements. It sounded like conspiracy junk until I saw a scanned memo someone posted. And right there, buried in the fine print, Stanford RK, clearance revoked. January 17, 2007. Unauthorized correspondence with subject B17IS. I sat there frozen. Isabelle. Me. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell anyone. Not Piper. Not Dad. Definitely not Mom. But the paper in my pocket started feeling heavier by the second. So I did the only thing I could think of. I sent a message to the person who posted the memo. Their username was Veritas Red. Just 2 words. Do you know who Rachel K. Stanford really was? Waited. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, just after midnight, a reply. I know exactly who she was. And I know who you are, Isabelle. You're not supposed to exist. My hands were shaking. I locked my door. Sat in the corner with my hoodie up. Every sound outside felt like someone breaking in. How did they know my name? Why wasn't I supposed to exist? Was this some kind of joke? Or was I about to learn something that would change everything? People think the worst kind of betrayal is when someone lies to you. It's not. It's when the people who raised you look you in the eye every day and still keep your real life locked in a drawer under boxes they hope you'll never open. But I opened one. And I wasn't about to stop there. Look, if you've ever felt like you were the outsider in your own house, like maybe the story you've been told your whole life has holes in it, then I want you to drop a fire in the comments. Because it's time we talk about what families hide when they think no one's watching. And if you're over 18 and stories like this shake your chest, subscribe right now. Because I haven't even told you what was really in that garage. Or why the next person I called was a stranger who claimed to be my real aunt. Barely slept. That message from the user Veritas Red kept replaying in my mind. I know who she was. And I know who you are, Isabelle. You're not supposed to exist. I wanted to believe it was a prank. But deep down I knew it wasn't. You can tell when something hits truth. It doesn't feel like fear. Feels like falling. Around 2 a.m., I got another message from Veritas Red. Call this number. She's the only one left who'll tell you the whole thing. I hesitated for hours. I kept the number on a sticky note under my pillow. At sunrise, I locked my bedroom door, held my breath and dialed. Rang once. Then a voice answered, soft, weathered, unsure. Isabelle. My throat closed up. Who is this? Silence. My name is Eleanor. I'm your aunt. I almost hung up. But then she said something that froze my blood. You used to have a tiny birthmark behind your left ear. Your mom, Rachel. She used to call it your secret constellation. No one else could have known that. I remembered it from old baby pictures. Dad used to say it was edited in for fun. Felt cold. Like my skin didn't fit anymore. Rachel Stanford. She was really my mom. Yes, she said, voice breaking. They took you from her. Made her sign papers. Promised you'd be placed with a qualified family. Then the facility shut down. And she vanished. Vanished how? They erased her. Like she never existed. My knees buckled. I sank onto my bed. Why me? Why would they take me? You were part of a classified program, Isabelle. They called it Project Rehome. It was supposed to find ideal placements for newborns with high developmental potential. What am I, some science experiment? She didn't answer. Which said enough. I want to meet you, I said. I need to know everything. I'll send you the address. But Isabelle, if they find out you know, they won't just watch you. Let them. No, honey, she whispered. They'll erase you too. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. Told Piper I was going to a group study. Mom barely blinked. Dad nodded without asking anything. He was too busy trying to sell his old golf clubs online. The irony hit me like a brick. He sold my laptop. And now I was about to sell out their entire lie. I took the 9:10 bus out of town. It felt like escaping a dream I hadn't realized was a nightmare. 2 hours later, I stood in front of a tiny yellow house with an overgrown garden and a crooked mailbox that read E. Stanford. She opened the door before I knocked. Her face, like looking at an older version of mine. Same eyes, same jawline, same tired sadness. We just stared at each other for a moment. Then she pulled me into a hug that felt like being held by the life I was meant to have. Inside, she showed me a photo album. There were baby pictures. Me. Or Rachel. And then, a single manila folder labeled redacted. Project inside it. A contract with forged signatures. Dates that didn't match what my parents told me. A doctor's note about personality reshaping and parental role simulation. They trained them. Yes. Your dad wasn't just your dad. He was assigned. Felt sick. Why didn't she come for me? She did, Eleanor whispered. They arrested her when she tried. Said she was mentally unfit. She died in a state-run facility. I couldn't save her. I couldn't cry. Not yet. Shock hits different when it confirms the hole you've always felt in your chest wasn't just in your head. She gave me one last envelope before I left. If anything happens to me, you show this to a lawyer. It proves everything. Took it. Tucked it into the lining of my bag. And promised myself I'd never call the people in my house family again. I know this is wild. Sounds like fiction. Like some sci-fi plot. But I'm telling you, sometimes the scariest fiction comes straight from real life. If you've ever felt like something in your life never quite added up, I want to hear about it in the comments. And for the adults who are hooked on true stories that unravel like this one, it's not just emotional, dangerous, because when I got home, there was a man sitting in our driveway, and he wasn't part of my fake family. He was wearing a badge, and he already knew where I'd been. The man in the driveway wasn't smiling. He stood in front of a black SUV, hands behind his back, sunglasses still on even though the sun had started to set. And the second I stepped off the bus and walked up the street toward our house, I knew. He wasn't selling anything. He was watching, waiting, for me. Isabelle Bennett? He asked as I reached the curb. Who's asking? Agent Declan Hart, CPS and State Records Bureau. Mind if I ask where you've been today? His badge was real. I recognized the insignia from Eleanor's documents. Is something wrong? Asked, trying to keep my voice calm. We received a report of a minor leaving school grounds repeatedly. Skipping class. Talking to unapproved adults. Your school counselor flagged you for erratic behavior. That was a lie. I hadn't said a word to my counselor in months. And skipping school once wasn't repeatedly. Everything all right at home? He asked, voice sharp but rehearsed. Fine, I said. Everything's fine. Can I speak to your parents? They're not home. I'll wait. He leaned against the SUV like he had all the time in the world. Inside the house I tried to act normal, but everything felt like it was humming, like the walls were vibrating with tension. Peeked through the blinds. He was still there, not moving, not even checking his phone, like a statue designed to intimidate. I ran to my room, locked the door, pulled out the envelope Aunt Eleanor gave me. Inside was a USB drive. I shoved it into my old backup Chromebook and clicked the only file on it. Video. Grainy footage. A hospital hallway. A woman being dragged backward while screaming. She's mine. That's my daughter. Isabelle. It was her. Rachel. My real mom. 2 nurses and a man in a lab coat held her back as another man in a suit signed a clipboard and walked away with something wrapped in a pink blanket. Me. I slapped my hand over my mouth to stop from screaming. They had stolen me. And they'd recorded it like a business transaction. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was intentional. A system built to disappear people like Rachel. And repurpose children like me. Downstairs the front door opened. I heard my dad's voice, calm and low. "Isabelle. Agent Hart says he needs to speak with us." I didn't answer. I slid the USB out, shoved it into my sock and slipped out the window. I didn't have a plan. Just needed to get away. To think. To breathe. I ran 5 blocks before I stopped at a gas station. Locked myself in the single-stall bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. For the first time I didn't recognize the girl looking back. Called Eleanor. No answer. Then my phone lit up. Block number. I hesitated, then answered. A voice spoke, sharp and urgent. "You have to move now. They know. You triggered the signal when you accessed that video. Get somewhere safe." "Who is this?" Veritas read. He told me there was a safe house. An old apartment 2 towns over. Me. Secure. With a lockbox inside that only I could open. "Your mother planned this years ago. In case someone ever got close." "Why me? Why is this happening now?" "Because you started asking questions. And now they want to shut the door you opened." I got there by nightfall. The place looked abandoned from the outside. Cracked paint, broken mailbox, overgrown weeds. But inside, clean, quiet, cold. And on the kitchen table was a small metal case with my name etched on a tag. Inside, a photo of me and Rachel before I could even walk. Hard drive. And a letter. "If you're reading this, they failed to keep you in the dark. But they've been using children like tools for years. You were never supposed to be a pawn. You were supposed to be free. I'm sorry I couldn't raise you. But you were never abandoned. You were stolen. Rachel." I fell asleep that night on the floor, gripping the letter like it was a lifeline. When I woke up, my phone had 14 missed calls from Dad. And 1 new message. "We know where you are. Come home. Or don't bother coming back at all. Listen. If your guts ever screamed that your life didn't add up, that something huge was just beneath the surface of what people told you, then you know how I felt that night. And I'm asking you directly. Have you ever felt like you were raised inside a lie? Because what's coming next? It's the part of the story they'll do anything to silence. And I'm done being quiet." I stared at the message from my so-called dad for a long time. "We know where you are. Come home. Or don't bother coming back at all." It didn't scare me. Not anymore. It confirmed what I'd feared since I opened that first envelope. They didn't love me. They controlled me. And now that control was slipping. I wasn't planning to go back because they asked me to. I was going back to destroy everything they built. At 3:47 a.m. I packed what little I had. Eleanor's letter, the photo, the flash drive, the hard drive, and the phone Veritas read mailed me through a courier. It was wiped clean and untraceable. He even programmed a feature where I could record audio without it showing on the screen. "They're listening," he warned me. "Even when you think they're not. Always record." That would stick with me forever. I waited until daylight before I headed back. Didn't want to sneak this time. Didn't want to act scared. I walked straight up to the front door like I still lived there. Mom opened it. Her face dropped. "Isabelle," she whispered, eyes darting behind me, checking for witnesses. "Can I come in?" "Yes, come." She stepped aside slowly. "Your room is still yours," she said, as if that erased anything. Everything was exactly how I'd left it. My clothes still folded. Piper's perfume still wafting through the hallway. Dad's voice downstairs, angry and hushed. But now, I was recording. Every conversation. Every eye roll. Every little slip-up. Over the next 2 days, I pretended like I wanted to talk things through. I said I wanted to move on. They ate it up. Piper bragged about her new phone, completely oblivious. Mom offered to bake my favorite muffins. Dad gave me his fake sorry eyes, the ones he used when he got caught yelling too loud. But none of them saw it coming. Late that night I left my phone charging in the kitchen. But I had the second one, Veritas Red's phone, slipped into a flower vase facing the dining room. I had one goal. Catch them talking. Catch them saying anything. At 11:42 p.m. they did. Dad, I don't care how emotional she gets. If she leaks anything, we contact the bureau. Mom, she's just confused. She's still underage. We can spin it if she goes public. Dad, only if that Stanford woman doesn't resurface. She's already blown half our cover. Mom. And the project? The adoption protocols. Dad. Buried. As long as she doesn't dig into Facility 12, we're fine. My heart stopped. Facility 12. That wasn't Red Line. That was something else. A second facility. A second experiment. I clipped the audio, emailed it to myself on a secret account, and deleted the cache. Then I left before sunrise. Didn't even say goodbye. Didn't need to. They knew. And now, I had proof. Eleanor met me at a motel halfway between towns. She hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. I showed her the clip. Her face drained of color. Facility 12, she murmured. They said it was shut down before you were born. But if they're still talking about it, it means they're still using it, I finished. And still using people, she added. We sat on the motel bed in silence, letting the weight of it all settle between us. They weren't just criminals. They were architects of a system designed to reshape identity, destroy family, control people from birth. What if this goes higher? Yes. It does, Eleanor said. That's why they chose your father. He wasn't just a participant. He was part of the original project team. My throat tightened. He helped take me. Yes. It was in that moment that everything inside me clicked. The gaslighting. The favoritism toward Piper. The way they always told me what I couldn't do. Never what I was capable of. They weren't raising a daughter. They were programming a subject. But they failed. And now I wasn't going to just expose it. I was going to take back my life. 'Cause what I found out next, it wasn't just about me. It was about the other children. The ones who never made it out. I stared at the message from my so-called dad for a long time. We know where you are. Come home. Or don't bother coming back at all. It didn't scare me. Not anymore. It confirmed what I'd feared since I opened that first envelope. They didn't love me. They controlled me. And now that control was slipping. I wasn't planning to go back because they asked me to. I was going back to destroy everything they built. At 3:47 a.m. I packed what little I had. Eleanor's letter, the photo, the flash drive, the hard drive, and the phone Veritas Red mailed me through a courier. It was wiped clean and untraceable. He even programmed a feature where I could record audio without it showing on the screen. They're listening, he warned me. Even when you think they're not. Always record. That would stick with me forever. I waited until daylight before I headed back. Didn't want to sneak this time. Didn't want to act scared. I walked straight up to the front door like I still lived there. Mom opened it. Her face dropped. Isabelle, she whispered, eyes darting behind me, checking for witnesses. Can I come in? Yes, come. She stepped aside slowly. Your room is still yours, she said, as if that erased anything. Everything was exactly how I'd left it. My clothes still folded. Piper's perfume still wafting through the hallway. Dad's voice downstairs, angry and hushed. But now, I was recording. Every conversation. Every eye roll. Every little slip-up. Over the next 2 days, I pretended like I wanted to talk things through. I said I wanted to move on. They ate it up. Piper bragged about her new phone, completely oblivious. Mom offered to bake my favorite muffins. Dad gave me his fake sorry eyes, the ones he used when he got caught yelling too loud. But none of them saw it coming. Late that night I left my phone charging in the kitchen. But I had the second one, Veritas Red's phone, slipped into a flower vase facing the dining room. I had one goal. Catch them talking. Catch them saying anything. At 11:42 p.m. they did. Dad, I don't care how emotional she gets. If she leaks anything, we contact the bureau. Mom, she's just confused. She's still underage. We can spin it if she goes public. Dad. Only if that Stanford woman doesn't resurface. She's already blown half our cover. Mom. And the project. The adoption protocols. Dad. Buried. As long as she doesn't dig into Facility 12, we're fine. My heart stopped. Facility 12. That wasn't Redline. That was something else. A second facility. A second experiment. I clipped the audio, emailed it to myself on a secret account, and deleted the cache. Then I left before sunrise. Didn't even say goodbye. Didn't need to. They knew. And now. I had proof. Eleanor met me at a motel halfway between towns. She hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. I showed her the clip. Her face drained of color. Facility 12, she murmured. They said it was shut down before you were born. But if they're still talking about it, it means they're still using it, I finished. And still using people, she added. We sat on the motel bed in silence, letting the weight of it all settle between us. They weren't just criminals. They were architects of a system designed to reshape identity, destroy family, control people from birth. What if this goes higher? Yes. It does, Eleanor said. That's why they chose your father. He wasn't just a participant. He was part of the original project team. My throat tightened. He helped take me. Yes. It was in that moment that everything inside me clicked. The gaslighting. The favoritism toward Piper. The way they always told me what I couldn't do. Never what I was capable of. They weren't raising a daughter. They were programming a subject. But they failed. Because I found the story they tried to bury. And now I wasn't going to just expose it. I was going to take back my life. It wasn't just about me. It was about the other children. The ones who never made it out. The master list was in a box Eleanor kept locked inside a floorboard safe under the motel room. She said she hadn't opened it in years. I was afraid of what I'd find, she admitted. Or who I wouldn't. But now that I had a recording. And the name, Facility 12. We didn't have the luxury of fear anymore. The file was labeled. Rehomophader. Subjects archived or deceased. Do not release. It was thick. Maybe 200 pages. Codes. Facility numbers. And status markers. Some said terminated. Some said relocated. A few said erased. And then, on page 86, I found it. B17 Isabelle's /assigned. Bennett family /status. Deviated /risk. High /flag for evaluation. Last evaluation. Pending extraction. I stared at that last line so long it stopped feeling like English. Pending extraction. They weren't just watching me. They were preparing to take me back. There were other names too. Kids born around the same time I was. Many had been moved across state lines. One girl, subject B20 had 8 foster homes in 7 years. Then suddenly, status, erased. They were test driving us, I whispered. Moving us around. Seeing what stuck. Trying to control variables, Eleanor added. Behavior, identity, adaptability. They were grooming the perfect civilian profiles. I flipped through pages, trembling. So many names. Most I didn't recognize. Until one stopped me cold. Piper S. My sister. Subject B18, PS/Piper S. /placed with B17 ES as control subject /status. Passive /loyalty. Stable. I nearly dropped the file. She was placed with me. As a control. They used her to study you, Eleanor said quietly. To compare development. Track emotional deviation. She's not even my sister. No. But she was trained to believe she is. Just like you were trained to believe this was your life. I stood up and paced, my breath tight and ragged. My entire childhood. Every memory. Every fight. Every time Piper got more or was loved more. Wasn't favoritism. It was data collection. I didn't cry. Couldn't. My anger burned too bright for tears. Later that night, I received another anonymous message. You're in danger. The list was flagged the second you opened it. They're on the move. You have 12 hours max. Who is this? Asked someone inside. You're not the only one. We packed. Eleanor loaded everything into an old rusted pickup, and we drove through back roads for 4 hours until we reached the edge of a forgotten industrial park. She told me it used to be a shipping company, but now it was abandoned, or at least it looked like it. Inside one of the warehouses was a hidden hatch. It led to a staircase, and that led to a room with monitors, computers, and one person waiting. A man in his 30s. Name's Leo, he said. Former analyst for Redline. I defected before they purged the data. Why help me? Asked. Because I was supposed to watch you. But I saw what they did to your mother. Leo showed us something that made my stomach drop. He pulled up live security feeds from Facility 12. Not old tapes, current footage. Kids, dozens of them. In rooms with white walls and no windows. Being schooled, conditioned, corrected. I wanted to throw up. They're still doing it, I said. Still stealing kids. Only the ones who fit the profile, Leo said bitterly. Smart, isolated, easily erased. I couldn't look away. They were still building this system, still feeding it, and no one was stopping them. That night I made the hardest decision of my life. I'm going back, I told Eleanor and Leo. To my house. They both shook their heads. It's too dangerous, Eleanor said. They'll grab you the second you step on the property, Leo added. I'm not going to stay, I said. Then why? Because I need one more thing. I need the birth documents. The original files. They don't exist, Leo said. They do. My mom kept copies. I saw her hiding them in a locked chest in the attic when I was 10. She said, some things don't belong in the open. If they're there, Eleanor started. Then I can end this. I know this is insane. And if you've watched this far, you probably feel as numb as I do right now. But this part, this is where things change. Because I'm done uncovering. It's time to expose. I waited until 2:43 a.m. That was always the dead hour in our neighborhood. No dog walkers. No porch lights. Just the low hum of faraway highway noise and the occasional passing truck. Eleanor dropped me 2 streets away, behind the old grocery store. Leo had hacked into the neighborhood security cams and looped footage for the next 30 minutes. In and out, I told myself. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare me for how it would feel to step back into that house. Not through the front door. This time I went in through the basement window. The one that never latched right. The second I slid inside, the air hit me like a ghost. It smelled like everything I hated and missed at the same time. Faint lavender detergent. Microwaved leftovers. Dust and betrayal. I didn't waste time. Tiptoed through the laundry room. Past the kitchen. The stairs, slow and light. Every step creaked like it was trying to rat me out. My heart was beating in my throat by the time I reached the attic pull-down. I dragged over the old footstool that was still stashed in the hallway linen closet. Pushed up the trapdoor. Grabbed the rope. And climbed. It was hotter than I remembered. And darker. I used the tiny flashlight Leo gave me. Red light only. Less visible from the street. I found the trunk within 45 seconds. Same faded brown leather. Same rusted latch. I unclipped it with a small tool Leo gave me, and inside, just like I remembered, a folder wrapped in newspaper, tied with twine. Inside were 2 birth certificates. One was forged, the fake one I grew up with. The other, original, handwritten. Rachel Stanford. January 17, 2007. Child. Isabelle Stanford. And behind that I found something else. Second folder. Photos. Documents with logos I didn't recognize. Triangles, crosses, Latin phrases. They weren't just state-run, I whispered. They were private contractors. NGOs. Shell groups. This went way deeper than I thought. I slipped everything into my backpack. That's when it happened. A high-pitched ping went off near the attic door. Almost silent. But I heard it. Froze. Leo had warned me. Some attics are rigged with motion-based alerts. Not alarms. Just quiet signals. Silent flags. I had triggered one. I dropped low, shut off the flashlight and waited. Nothing. Then I heard it. A step. 2 sets. Not hurried. Not heavy. Tactical. Someone was inside the house. I reached for my phone and tapped 3 times. Emergency signal. Leo would see it. But I didn't wait. I crawled to the far end of the attic where the boards were loose. And where years ago, Piper and I once dared each other to slide candy wrappers down a thin crack. I peeled up the loose panel. It opened straight into her closet. My escape route. Slid in. Landed hard. Didn't make a sound. Footsteps were closer now, downstairs. But moving up. Ran. Out of Piper's room. Down the hall. Past the kitchen. Didn't even think. Just ran. I heard a voice behind me. She's moving, west side exit. Pick her up at Sector 4. They weren't calling police. They were using sector language. That wasn't family. That was a team. I sprinted through the backyard, over the fence, and into the alley. Eleanor's truck peeled in like a movie scene. Go! Now! We didn't wait to buckle up. Half an hour later, I was safe in Leo's warehouse bunker again. But something in me had changed. Seeing those documents, the second certificate, the organizations behind it all, I realized this wasn't about me anymore. It was about everyone like me. We're going public, I said to Leo. With what? Everything. They'll discredit you. Not if I give the story to someone who can't be silenced. We started planning that night. Outreach to journalists, encrypted backups, dead man's switches. If anything happened to me, the files would hit the internet in 17 countries. I wasn't running anymore. If you've made it this far, then maybe some part of you feels what I'm feeling. That deep ache in your gut when a lie unravels. If you've ever sensed that something about your childhood didn't sit right, drop old key in the comments. 'Cause secrets like these are keys. Her name was Nina Wallace. Investigative journalist. Specialized in whistleblower stories. Pulitzer finalist. And most importantly, she believed me. Or at least she was willing to listen. We found her through an encrypted thread on a dark web advocacy forum. Leo made first contact. She called me 30 minutes later. I've heard of Redline, she said. Only whispers. Scattered files. Names that disappear. I have evidence, I told her. And I think they're still operating under Facility 12. Silence on the other end. I'll come to you. Tomorrow. Don't move. Don't post. Stay cold. That whole night I didn't sleep. Eleanor checked the locks 5 times. Leo wiped our digital footprint again. If she's real, he said, this could break everything wide open. But we all knew. If she wasn't real, could be a setup. Nina was supposed to arrive by noon. We waited in the warehouse bunker. Coffee untouched, phone silent, tension everywhere. At 11:32 a.m., her message came through. 10 minutes out. Silver Prius. Traveling alone. Leo watched the feed from the industrial park security cams. We saw the car. Then we saw the SUV behind it. And then, a third vehicle pull in from the opposite side. That's not her team, Leo said, eyes narrowing. They flanked her. What do we do? I asked, panicking. We watch. The Prius pulled into the lot. Nina stepped out. Red scarf. Press badge visible. She reached into her bag. And a man from the SUV rushed her. Not a uniform. Not a cop. But trained. You could see it in how fast he moved. How he didn't speak. Just grabbed her arm hard and whispered something in her ear. She froze. Then nodded. Then got back in her car. And left. I stared at the screen, heart in my throat. They intercepted her, I said. Worse, Leo whispered. They warned her off. Think she'll still come? No. 5 minutes later, a new message came in. I can't do this. Sorry. They showed up at my sister's place. Threatened her job. Her kids. I didn't even tell her about this story. Who are they? I replied. I don't know. But they're watching more than just you. I couldn't stop shaking. Every time I got close to the truth, they cut the wire, shut the door, scared someone into silence. I looked at Leo. Is there anyone else? He hesitated, then typed into a protected server. One name came back. Gabriel Vance, former data architect for Project Rehome, labeled unstable. Went missing in 2015. But the IP attached to an old dormant site, fracturedtruth.net, had gone live 3 hours ago. It was pinging from inside the same county. If he's alive, Leo said. He might be the last person who knows what Facility 12 really did. Can we find him? Already trying. That night I wrote everything down. My entire story. Every name. Every date. Every photo and scan. I recorded a voiceover version and saved it to 3 encrypted drives. One I kept on me. One I gave to Eleanor. One I buried under a fake gravestone in the woods behind the warehouse. Because if they stopped me next, I needed to make sure the story lived. If you've ever watched something wrong happen, and stayed silent because speaking up could cost you everything, then you know what Nina felt. And maybe what I feel too. So if you're still here, still watching, tell me in the comments. I won't look away. Because this story, it's no longer just mine. It's every story that got silenced before it was ever told. We didn't find Gabriel Vance. He found us. Leo had only just started digging when an alert hit his system. Someone had pinged the encrypted drive Isabelle buried. The IP trace. Backdoor route. Inside the warehouse system. There was only one possible explanation. He was already watching. At 3:17 a.m., Leo's secure laptop lit up. A message blinked across the screen in monochrome green. Stop looking. Mimi. Come alone. Under it, a set of coordinates. An abandoned church on the edge of a nowhere town 60 miles out. No cameras. No cell towers. No chance to call backup. Eleanor hated the idea. It's a trap. Setup. Or worse. He's already compromised. But what if he's not? Yes. What if he's the only one who knows how to end this? I went alone. I didn't tell Leo when I left. Didn't wake Eleanor. Didn't send a message. Just wrote gone to meet Vance. If I vanish, look for the truth in his files. And left it taped to my pillow. The church looked like it had been forgotten for decades. Peeling paint. Broken glass. A single wooden cross rotting in the soil. I stepped inside. And he was already there. Sitting in the last pew. Wearing a baseball cap, hoodie, and a look like he hadn't slept in years. You came, he said, voice quiet. Ragged. Are you Gabriel? Used to be. Why help me? Because I helped build it. And I thought I could forget that. He handed me a flash drive. Every subject file from Phase 1 to Termination Protocol. Your mother fought for you. Got flagged as non-compliant. That's why they took you first. Why me? Because you scored higher than 96% of the newborns in baseline empathy and resistance conditioning. They called you the exception. You weren't supposed to bond the way you did. With my fake parents. No. With the other subjects. He said it fast, like ripping a bandage. You weren't the only one in your family unit under test. Your sister. Piper, she was monitored too. But she wasn't part of your case. She was part of theirs. So they used her against me. Emotion is the best control mechanism. Then he dropped the worst bomb of all. You were scheduled for recall at 18. They call it reintegration. But it's not a reunion. It's reprogramming. They erase the deviation. They reset the mind. But I'm not 18 yet. Exactly. You still have time. I asked him how many others there were. He looked away. More than you want to know. but fewer than there used to be. That silence was thick. What happened to them? Yes. Some got lost in the system. Some fought back. Some disappeared. Like my mom. He nodded once. He told me what Facility 12 really was. Not just a lab. Not just a detention zone. It was a final station. Where non-compliant subjects were rebalanced. Where high-risk cases were scrubbed from public memory. It's not a place where people walk out, he said. It's where the program ends. I had one question left. Why now? Why reach out now? He stared at me a long time before answering. Because I heard your voice. What? Your story. You uploaded part of it, didn't you? Buried in code on that drive. I saw it. Heard it. He smiled sadly. Your mother used to speak the same way. Honest. Human. Dangerous. He warned me that once the file he gave me was decrypted, it couldn't be hidden. That they'd know I had it. You want to kill the machine, he asked. Then hit the power at its heart. And where's that? He looked at me. Facility 12. One last trip. By the time I got back to the warehouse, the sun was rising. Leo and Eleanor were waiting. I dropped the flash drive on the table. We have everything we need, I said. Now let's end this. We left at midnight. No phones. No trackers. No goodbyes. Just me, Eleanor, Leo. And the drive that could burn their whole operation down. Facility 12 sat in the middle of nowhere. Officially, it was a decommissioned youth rehabilitation center. But underground. It was the root. The machine. The place where identities were wiped, rewritten, and buried. Leo knew how to get in. He'd helped code the original surveillance grid years ago. They'll never expect a breach from inside their own blind spot, he said. He was right. We cut through a fence half-eaten by rust and followed a drainage tunnel. For 2 miles. In total silence. Until we reached the back wall. A steel hatch, half covered by dirt and ivy. Leo keyed in an old code. And the lock clicked. Facility 12 opened like a wound. Inside the air was cold. Too cold. Industrial hums echoed down the corridor. The walls were smooth, seamless concrete. No signs. No labels. Just a long hallway of lights that never flickered. We've got 40 minutes, Leo whispered. Then the system pings a heartbeat scan. After that, we're ghosts or we're caught. We moved fast. Down 3 corridors past a security kiosk and through a maintenance shaft. Until we reached level B. The archive room. Where they kept subject files in physical form. For legal redundancy, they claimed. But what we found wasn't just names. It was evidence. Rows of drawers, locked in biometric safes. Leo cracked them with a bypass tool. Inside. Printed records. Medical reports. Video logs. Birth registrations with 2 versions. Original and altered. One by one I scanned them. And then I found it. B17 is. Subject deviant. Proposed for recall age 18. You were always a threat, Leo said, reading over my shoulder. Even when you were just a baby. My stomach turned. Then Eleanor called out. Isabelle, you need to see this. She held up a manila folder. Labeled Project Clone Nest. Failed trial pairs. Inside were 12 subject pairs. Children raised as siblings. 1 for bonding. 1 for monitoring. In most cases. The bonding subject was marked for termination by age 17. Deemed emotionally unstable or rebellious. The monitoring subject. Promoted. Piper's name was on that list. As a monitoring pair. They were raising agents, I whispered. Inside their own fake families. Then, from behind us. Voice. Whoa. Will. Step away from the drawers, Isabelle. We turned. And there he was. My father. The man who raised me. The man who sold my laptop for a phone I'd never use. The man who stole my name. He was holding a pulse weapon, but his face, it looked tired. You were never supposed to come here, he said. You mean I wasn't supposed to remember, I replied. He didn't deny it. What we did to protect you. No, I snapped. You did it to control me. He stepped forward. If you walk out of here with those files, you destroy lives. Not just ours. Every subject, every facility, every carefully calibrated environment. You mean families? No, he said coldly. Families are built. This was engineered. Leo stood in front of me. Eleanor moved to block the exit. You can't stop all of us, she said. My father looked at me just once more. You were supposed to be the perfect case. You made me the perfect witness, I whispered. And then I reached into my pocket and pressed the button on the drive's transmitter. A red light blinked once. Upload started. 10 seconds later, the facility alarms blared. Motion sensors triggered. Heartbeat scanners tripped. We ran. Back through the corridors. The shaft. The hatch. By the time the sun rose, the drive was live in 23 countries. Nina saw it. Veritas Red saw it. Even Piper messaged me 5 words. What did you do, Is? I didn't reply. She already knew. The day the files dropped, everything changed. But not in the way I expected. No police showed up at my door. No apology calls from Piper. No press conference from the families of the other children on the list. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels intentional. Manufactured. Like someone hit pause on the entire world. By the end of that first week, #Facility12 was trending in 4 countries. Then disappeared. Taken down for violating terms. Fact-checked as unverified source. Flagged as psychological hoax. They were burying it. Right in front of us. That's when the letters started arriving. Anonymous packages. Type threats. Blurred photos of me taken through windows. Burned phones that would ring once, then go dead. Even the news anchors stopped saying my name. And Piper. She went completely off-grid. No social. No trace. Like she was never real to begin with. Eleanor said we had a choice. Run and hide. Or finish what you started. What's left to finish? Yes. I told the world the truth. You showed them files, she said. But you haven't shown them you. So I did something reckless. I went live. No filters. No edits. Just me and the camera. I told my full story. My real name. My fake family. My sister who was never my sister. The facility. The birth records. The forged school transcripts. The archive room. And my father, his voice on the upload. Everything. And then I said this. If I disappear after tonight, you'll know why. But if you're a subject like me, if you've ever felt like your childhood was a set you were walking through instead of a life you lived, you're not crazy. You're not broken. And you're not alone. It went viral. Not right away. But within 72 hours. Hundreds of others started sharing stories that sounded just like mine. Different names. Different towns. Same patterns. Same gaps. Same files. Same ache. Then came the breaking point. A former agent came forward. A woman named Dr. Lena Caro. She confirmed everything. On live TV. With documents. With photos of children. Including me. The government didn't deny it. They just called it a discontinued behavioral monitoring program with lapses in oversight. No names. No charges. No arrest. Just damage control. But what they couldn't control was us. The subjects. The ones who grew up thinking we were broken. But were really just built for silence. Now. We had each other. I've moved 3 times since then. Not out of fear. But because I refused to be rooted in a lie again. Eleanor and Leo work with a network of recovered subjects now. They help them trace their records. Find their truth. And me. I speak at schools. Hearings. At shelters and programs that screen for behavioral outliers. I tell them what I wish someone had told me at 13. They only tried to erase you because you mattered. One day, I know they'll try to make me disappear again. They might succeed. But they'll never erase this story. 'Cause it's not mine anymore. It's ours. If you're still here watching this final part, then let me say this. Thank you. For listening. For believing me. for helping me rewrite the ending they never saw coming. And if you've ever been the quiet one in your family, the different one, the ungrateful one, drop "I'm still here" in the comments. And if you're over 18 and ready to hear more real revenge stories like this, subscribe, because I'm just one of thousands, and their stories are even more shocking than mine.